ado, it is my booking of Hard Justice going from, if you go back to my Slammiversary and then Victory Road, and this is Hard Justice. So if you're watching this, just to be aware, this is my fantasy booking, and it goes not from what TNA is doing, but from what I have done from Slammiversary on. So this will have nothing to do with what TNA is doing. I've added this as a response to the other videos, so you can watch those if you haven't watched them. I think most of you have probably seen them. So let's get started. I have a much longer time period to do this on, which was something I could not do on the other videos, so I can take my time on this, which is good, because of course, first thing to remember, all the matches are in the description. I did include the times. The times include promos, i.e. And what I mean by promos, I mean promos and entrances, which means both guys' entrances, any video packages that have to do with the matches, also any video any interviews they do during the pay-per-view, like the main event and that sort of thing, where they might do interviews leading up to the main event throughout the pay-per-view, that sort of thing. Just to make everything work probably a little bit better than what I would think, but that's just my take on it. Okay, so let's get started. First match you will see up there is Kaz versus Hernadez versus Petey Williams for the X Division title. If you remember, most of you probably don't, because I should have done this before actually Victory Road, and I didn't. I'm a bad person and got off on track on other things and have just been busy. But Hernadez I have as the X Division champion, beating Kaz in Houston, sort of letting the home crown guy win a singles championship, since this is, in my view, what should be the secondary championship for TNA, and also put back into people's minds the fact that anybody can win this belt. It's just kind of a more fast-paced match, even though all of TNA's matches are much more fast-paced than what you would normally see. So, kind of sort of mini problem. I've talked a lot about what my problems are with the X Division title, but this is how I would do it. Kaz getting his rematch against Hernadez. Petey Williams, who never got his rematch against Kaz when Kaz beat him. So you have all of this being settled in this three-way, and basically the way I would set all of this up is just basic old school booking. I think something like this, you just do pretty much old school booking. Kaz and Hernadez basically having kind of an understanding with each other, the whole mutual respect for each other type thing, maybe even tagging against Williams and a partner of his choice. I would say Scott Steiner, but of course Scott Steiner's hurt. But you could pick any number of heels to go with him. Of course, LAX being LAX and being kind of tweeners in some way, and Kaz kind of wondering, can he trust LAX, can he trust Hernadez, that sort of thing. LAX maybe being a little upset with Hernadez because, they want to go after the tag titles and they really can't with Hernadez, being the X Division champion. All of that playing into a lot of this. So you have a lot of different things going. Petey Williams still trying to get some recognition for himself through his little angles that he's been doing. And very easy match. Just let them go out there, let them do their thing, and let Petey, pin Kaz because of some screwjob Healy thing, probably with Khan, where he gets hit with a chair or something, maybe the flex device, whatever. But Kaz loses, and that allows them to carry on their feud farther down the road. Hernadez loses. LAX says, hey, we know you lost the title, but you got your title, but we need to go back for the tag team champions, which they will do later on. So that's how all that would unfold. Next, we have a match that, currently would not take place in TNA, but is one that I had already had booked, so we're going to go through it anyways, because I do believe in keeping with what I had booked, just so people could see how I would do things. But having Tomko versus Matt Morgan. and a little short big man match. I'm a sucker for big man matches. If they really want to push Matt Morgan, which it looks kind of the way they wanted to. Also, so you basically have the two kind of monsters in Tomko and Morgan. You just let them out there, let them do their thing, kind of wow the crowd a little bit. It's something we don't see in TNA very often because there aren't a lot of big guys in TNA. These are the two probably biggest guys, so let them go out there, let them kind of do their thing. A little short, 15 minutes. The actual match would probably be somewhere around 10 minutes. So nothing horrendous if they don't have any chemistry. Just kind of, ooh, look, two big giants. Next we have Eric Young versus Aybss. Now, I had not, in my other two videos, I had not talked about the return of Aybss yet, and so now we're going to get into the return of Aybss. I would bring Aybss back and people not really knowing what's going on, him kind of showing up, kind of not showing up, actually let him use the mic a little bit and basically kind of challenge Eric Young and basically the whole Eric Young Super Eric thing, and Aybss saying, he knows what it is like to hide behind a mask. Sometimes it's easier to hide behind the mask because what's behind the mask is this or that. Make it a real kind of, the good Undertaker type of angles where it's kind of high concept is probably the best way to do it. Let Abyss kind of talk over, the fans' heads a little bit as far as like psychology and kind of what might be going through Eric Young's head, that sort of thing, where Eric Young's kind of confused and but he thinks it's just Abyss trying to get into him, still not admitting that he's Super Eric or anything like that. You let them go out there, and this would be a long, prolonged thing, and you would have to kind of a long video package on the pay-per-view. So I gave it 20 minutes. Kind of a shorter kind of match with Abyss pretty much kind of destroying Eric Young to a large degree, and Super Eric not coming to Eric Young's rescue because he can't. That whole kind of thing, and really just and the crowd and everyone feeling sorry for Eric Young because he's waiting for Super Eric to come to his aid, and they can't because he's, for whatever reason, can't comprehend that he's really Super Eric. So there we go there. Next we have Kong's Challenge. You remember Kong's Challenge, and this is what gave us Miss Wild as champion. I would have done something a little different because, in my opinion, and I still believe this, the second best wrestler that TNA has as far as a knockout, as far as what can happen in the ring, and she looks good too, is hiding behind a mask and pretending that she's Arabic, and she's not, and that's cheerleader Melissa. For that reason, what I would do is I would have, her, for whatever reason, get deported, something, so that she's gone, and she is the person in the crowd that comes in and takes on Kong. They have wrestled before. They have wrestled very good matches against each other before. This would be good. Again, I wouldn't give it long, but I definitely think this would be a very good match, and I think it would be a good feud to carry on, which is something that I don't think you would see with Wild, and Kong would still keep her kind of invulnerability to an extent, where she just basically gets surprised by this superior wrestler who's really, really good, and who the fans can believe is really, really good, where I don't think you have that at the moment. So that's where I would go with that. Next we have Dutt versus Lethal, and I will say I actually like more of what they're trying to do with Dutt and Lethal now, where they're trying to kind of, it looks to me like they're trying to do like, Dutt is really the face, but no one thinks he's the face, and Lethal is really the heel, but no one sees that he's the heel type of gimmick. I think they're trying to be too cutesy with it, and I don't think it's working out quite the way they want. But anyway, they've already had one match. This is the second match. You do a Texas death match because Lethal literally wants to kill Dutt, and he wants there to be a definite finish. This would finish the feud. There we go with that. Next, Booker T versus Christian Cage. Now, if you've watched my videos, you know that Booker T is technically the #1 contender. However, because of Joe and Jarrett and Nash, Joe has been able to convince, Cornette to allow him to have Jarrett, and that Booker T is promised his title match down the road. Kind of pisses off Booker T. He still has his feud with Christian Cage still going. Cage still wants, Booker T to prove that really he should be the #1 contender, that sort of thing. This is basically a match just so you can have both of these guys on the pay-per-view and have a good solid match on the pay-per-view, which leads up. And also what you want to do with this is you want Booker to kind of be the sympathetic heel, where he's heel, but you understand kind of what his whining heelishness is about. Yes, he should have already gotten his title shot, but he's going about, whining and complaining and all of that the wrong way, and so the fans kind of turn on him. I think that's far more effective than what they end up doing with him, but that's just me. Next, we have Motor City Machine Guns versus Team 3D. This has been a continuation of this in a tables match. Basically what it sounds like. I'd have Motor City Machine Guns, of course, go over here. Very easy stuff. I think that this would then lead, kind of give Motor City Machine Guns kind of, even though I think they're over, I think giving them even more over and giving them a little bit more credit. And I think that would help them out a bit, leading on to what I would have their next feud to be, and then which would be an LAX feud, leading farther down the road. And next we have AJ versus Angle in a no DQ match. Basically, they're going to go out there, and this is no DQ, and we're definitely going to have a finish to the whole feud. Of course, I have it where it's Angle and his wife are together, and they have both kind of betrayed AJ. Angle is crazy, insane Angle, which I think is the Angle that we all enjoy, and AJ, is kind of just the sucker. But he's the pissed off sucker, and now he's going to kill somebody. And so here we go. And hopefully, and with AJ going over Angle here, winning, getting a bit of revenge, going into the next pay-per-view. And next we have Joe versus Jeff Jarrett. This was led off because of Slammiversary. Joe won the King of the Mountain match, but Nash turned on Joe, used a guitar, basically kind of what they wound up doing with Joe anyways, except kind of the other way around with Booker T. And Joe wanted Jeff Jarrett. The only way Joe could get Jeff Jarrett was to beat Kevin Nash. He beat Kevin Nash. Now he gets Jeff Jarrett. And now Joe finally gets to beat Jeff Jarrett, which would lead to the next pay-per-view where we would get Joe versus Booker T finally. And that leads us to the next pay-per-view. Everything leads to the next pay-per-view. Everything makes sense in my opinion. I definitely think all of this would work out very well. With just, this is just basic middle of the road kind of, not, I wouldn't call it a throwaway pay-per-view, but just a pay-per-view to lead to the next pay-per-view, because you're leading to Bound for Glory. But out of these pay-per-views, this is definitely the throwaway kind of, okay, this is the in-between, where do we go next pay-per-view. Out of the pay-per-views, you're always going to have one like that. This is mine. Of course, the next pay-per-view is coming. That will be No Surrender, and that will lead directly into Bound for Glory. Hopefully I'm going to have that one up this week, because I do want to get this done pretty quickly and then go into Bound for Glory so you can see what I would do for Bound for Glory and kind of show how I would do Bound for Glory different than how I think they envision they need to do Bound for Glory. But this would lead into the next pay-per-view, No Surrender. So that's all. Look forward to your guys' comments, and I will check you guys later. Have a good one. I'm out.